All right, Molly, we're ready to
Great.
go.
All right, thank you. Well, everybody, thank you so much for taking the time to join us, whether you are live with us now or listening at a later point. Thank you very much for your participation in the 3-day and for giving us the opportunity to talk with you about one of our collective favorite topics, fundraising. Gayla, if you want to go ahead and advance the next slide, I will quickly run through what we will be covering. So the purpose of this fundraising webinar today is really to give all of you an opportunity to hear some last minute fundraising tips to get you to your $2,300 fundraising minimum or whatever your goal is. And also to be able to ask questions and to be able to hear some of the answers from questions that we have received, from some fellow participants already that we wanted to share. So we really just wanted to provide a space for you to be able to get some more information as you head into the home stretch. Our plan is to potentially do another couple of these that are closer timed with the rest of the events happening this season. So our thought was that this would be more geared towards people who are doing Michigan and Twin Cities, but we recognize that there may be participants who are doing some other events as well. So you'll hear a little bit from me, a little bit from some of the other coaches on the call. We'll open it up for some of the other participants who are on the call to share some of their fundraising advice as well. And then we will open it up to a Q&A. And then we also want to be able to just talk really honestly about what your options are if you just do not think that you are going to be able to hit the $2,300 fundraising goal. I come from the mindset that it is absolutely possible and we can absolutely help you get there. But I also know it's just important to know what your options are. So we will leave you with that information as well, and then we will all be done for the day. So I would love to go to the next slide, please, Gayla, and just tell you a little bit about me and some of the other coaches who you will be hearing about. So I am bottom left. My name is Molly Fast. I have the great pleasure of working alongside the entire 3-day coaching staff. I started out as a participant of the 3-day a million years ago. I've been working on this project since 2002, and I have fundraised many times for the 3-day, but most recently I fundraised for Cycle for Survival, which raises money for rare cancer research. My father passed away at the age of 55 to esophageal cancer, and so I have kind of put some of my attention in the fundraising space to that, and I'm super, super proud to say that I have raised over $175,000 in the past 7 years through my participation in Cycle for Survival. And I like to do crazy things like set really large fundraising goals in a short period of time. And it sort of started out just as a little bit of as an experiment, just to see how something like that would work. And it worked really well. And so that's kind of my fundraising approach. But I love peer-to-peer fundraising. I think it's such an amazing opportunity for us to be able to do something for people that we love at a time when it feels like there's not much that we can do for them. And I think the benefits that we receive from participating in an event like this and getting the love and support and the financial contributions from the people in our life is such an amazing experience, and so uplifting in so many ways. So that's a little bit about me and my fundraising. I will turn it over to Tesha.
Hello, everybody. I'm Tesha Jessup. I'm the upper left there with the blue glasses. I have been a 3-day participant since 2008. I am walking my 8th event this summer, so I am actually joining those of you who will be in Twin Cities as a walker. But I am also the fundraising and support coach for both our New England and Philadelphia 3-day events. So I am a longtime 3-dayer. This is my 4th season on as a coach. I've raised over $30,000 through my participation. I have crewed 5 times, so I've done a little bit of everything. My favorite fundraising tactic, I would say, definitely is Facebook. I'm a huge Facebook user in general. As anybody who's my Facebook friend can tell you, I'm an oversharer, and I'm okay with that. But I also do the vast majority of my fundraising on Facebook. So for me, that's been a real game changer. So I think next is Coach Jen, the one without the glasses in this photo here.
Thanks, Tasha. Funny thing is, I can't see a thing without my glasses, so I'm wearing them now. Hi, everybody. Thanks for hopping on the call tonight. I am Coach Jen. My name is Jennifer Gross. I live in St. Pete, Florida, and I started my love affair with the 3-day as a walker back in 2006 on the Tampa Bay event. I had a dear friend who was battling breast cancer at the time, and this felt like the best way to kind of show her my support, but also really engage a little bit more in the breast cancer space. So since 2006, I have been a walker. I've been a crew member a few times. I've been a staff member on event now almost a dozen times. So I've really seen it all. If I had to share one fundraising tip, it's be you, do you, find something you love and create a fundraising opportunity around that. So you'll hear more from all of us, but right now I'm going to pass it over to Coach Liz in the upper right.
Hi, I'm Coach Liz. I am the coach for Twin Cities, Seattle, and Dallas. Maria, you'll be happy to know I live in Chandler. I used to be one of the Arizona coaches for the Chandler event. The Arizona event. And I started mine in 2004 as a walker. I have walked 11 times and crewed 8. I've raised over $30,000 myself. And the team that I am usually a participant on has raised over $100,000. So I know a lot about fundraising. Woo! Yeah. And again, like they said, everyone has their own way. Mine is through emails and letters. So it's usually the more direct approach, but it's whatever works for you, definitely. Perfect. And Gayla, take it away.
That's me, bottom right. I'm Coach Gayla. I'm from the Dallas-Fort Worth 3-day, and I've participated in the Dallas 3-day since 2005. Been a walker. This will be my 6th year, and I've crewed many years as well. Been a coach since 2010, full-time since 2013. I am addicted to this event. I've made so many friends and raised probably over $18,000. This year, I am walking in the New England 3-day, and I raised my money in 2 months. 2 months this year. I was very excited to be a part of this. One of my niece from Austin is going to be 21 the day before the event, and she asked me asked if she could join me this year. So I feel pretty special. A 21-year-old going to be celebrating her 21st birthday with me and this crazy group of 3-day people. So going to really throw her in full force. Honestly, the best thing for fundraising for me is asking people for a specific amount with a deadline, like $50 by my birthday, 2 months later. And usually when you give them an amount and a deadline, that's, a pretty short deadline, they will help you out. They will make that donation and help you, but you got to give them a story. You can't just rely on them to go look you up. So get it out there, talk to people about it, make it fun, and talk to everybody. So I will go ahead and move to the next slide and let Molly take over again.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to our amazing coaching staff. This is a portion of the support team who will be helping everybody all season long, but Tasha, Liz, and Jen are kind of main coaches on the receiving end of your emails and phone calls. But we're so fortunate to have such a passionate, knowledgeable, and experienced group of coaches who are here to support all of you. And as you can tell from what they've shared, they truly walk the walk. And I think it's one of the most beautiful aspects of this event is that you are supported by coaches who are also participants. So they truly understand what you're going through, not just from all of their experience in working with thousands and thousands of participants over the years, but also from having participated themselves. So thank you, all of you, for being here as well and imparting your wisdom to our group of participants as well. So I will quickly cover kind of just some last minute fundraising tips, which again, if you are a past participant and have listened to any of our fundraising webinars before, this isn't going to necessarily be groundbreaking information. I think the good thing about fundraising is it's easy, and the bad thing about fundraising is it's easy. And sometimes I think we kind of make things more difficult for ourselves than it needs to be, and we also can just really get in our own head about things. So we wanted to share a few last minute fundraising tips to help you kind of close the gap of where you are now and where you need to be. The first is to ask everyone you know. I ask every single person I know, and I really do mean every single person. I never make a decision for a potential donor based on their own life circumstances. And I know that sometimes we really want to do that, especially if we know someone might have just lost a job, or we know that their child is getting married next weekend, or whatever the situation may be. Let them decide where and how they want to spend their money. I ask by sending an individual request to each person. Your participant center makes this very easy to set up and to execute and to track. But it's just really important that you cast a very, very wide net, because you are going to hear nothing from people. You're going to get no's from people. And so you really need to beef up that list. I have, in certain situations when I've been getting really close to my event and I'm not at my fundraising goal, I've scrolled my Facebook friend list and I've sent people private messages on there. I've texted people. So, you know, I really make sure that I just really expand that list. I've included, my dentist is one of my most adorable donors. He's so sweet, gives me $100 every year in the event that I participate in. And I was so hesitant to reach out to him. I include my doctors, the woman who cuts my hair. So again, like, just make sure that that list is really inclusive of everybody you know. I've been married for, I don't know how many years at this point, 13, I think. I have an ex-boyfriend's mom on the list. I mean, I really just, when I say everyone, I include everyone on there. Gayla already mentioned this and kind of what works for her with her approach, but be specific with people. When you ask people to donate, tell them how much to donate. And whatever you think you're going to ask, I would always say add $25 on top of that. In my experience with fundraising, all of my fundraising history has shown me that people are far likelier to give what you ask for. So consider how much you're asking people. I wouldn't, again, depends on how much money you still need to raise, what your goal is, take a look at that kind of stuff. But sometimes like a meaningful amount is, it helps kind of people get behind it. Obviously there's the like $60 for 60 miles, but sometimes people choose to like have 8 at the end of their donation. Sometimes they do it based on how old someone was when they passed away, or how old they would have been, that kind of stuff. But you want to tell people how much to donate. You want to tell them when to donate, and you want to tell them where they need to go to make the donation. As Gayla said, you know, please donate $60 today by following this specific link, which will take you to my fundraising page. Or as she said, I know, Gayla, you had mentioned you had done it around your birthday was like the goal that you had set up. And obviously we all have a deadline, which is either 6 weeks out from your event, when most of us are trying to get our fundraising minimum met by, or the day of the event. But again, like, just be specific with people of how much and when you want them to donate and where they need to go. Tasha talked a little bit about Facebook, and we can do Facebook fundraisers now, which have been super successful and have really changed the fundraising landscape for 3-day participants. So we definitely recommend that you, if you're on social media, you use this as one of the tools in your arsenal. And remember, if you are doing a Facebook fundraiser, make the most out of it by inviting participants to the fundraiser so that you're not just counting on them to see it as they scroll through Facebook. I think it's super important to remember that not everyone is on Facebook, and not everyone likes to donate just because they saw something on Facebook. I have a friend and colleague who is raising money and put stuff on Facebook about it. And I knew that I was going to donate to her eventually, but I wanted to see if she was going to send me an email. And she sent me an email after putting up her fundraiser a few times on Facebook, and I donated like within 10 minutes after getting her email. So for me personally, I like to receive a personal ask. I don't like to just rely on seeing things on Facebook. So you might have people in your life who are like that. I think, who said like make sure that you personalize your story, but I think it's so important that you include a personal ask. You tell people why this is important to you, why you're participating in the event. You will be far more successful if you personalize your fundraising efforts in that way. You have the opportunity to tell a story in a way that motivates someone and inspires them to donate to your participation. And oftentimes, our personal reasons for doing this, we all have like really meaningful personal stories that are really inspiring to people, and remind people about the importance of doing things like this. And so make sure that you include that when you are reaching out to people and asking them. And then the second to last one on here, follow-up. If you take nothing else away from this presentation, please let it be that following up with people who haven't donated yet is the most important thing that you can do in your fundraising. I understand that asking more than once, it's uncomfortable for many of us. When I do my fundraising, I actually ask people 5 times. And I do my fundraising this past year. I did my fundraising within 25 days. And I get that it's totally uncomfortable. For people who know me, I think they are surprised to learn that I actually do get uncomfortable with certain aspects of fundraising, but asking people multiple times like that is definitely not comfortable for me, but it's super effective. People are busy. They need the reminders. They forget, and they genuinely are grateful. In my experience, they're grateful when they do get that reminder. It helps people who still want to donate, but it's fallen off their radar. And I think it's important to keep in mind that a no isn't a no until someone tells you no. Otherwise, I think you can assume that people are busy and that they're motivated by deadlines, and that the follow-up can certainly help them. So especially with fundraising for the 3-day, with the amount that you have to fundraise, you should be sending out at least 2 follow-ups, but you can do it, again, based on where you're at with your fundraising, how much more you need to go, and how close you are to your event. But follow-ups are super, super important. And then thanking people quickly and publicly. As soon as you get a donation, I recommend that you send a thank you, acknowledging the fact that you received the donation. And then it's also really good practice to just send another one after the event so you can tell them how the experience was. But it helps solidify continued support when you participate next year. But using social media, this is a really great way to utilize social media. When you use it to publicly thank donors, it significantly increases your chances of getting more donations from the people who you're waiting on. And it also increases the likelihood that you open yourself up to getting donations from people you didn't even think to reach out to. So it's important to make sure that you do that as well. For the other coaches, do you have any last minute fundraising tips that you would include in here?
This is Coach Tasha. I would say one of the things that I was thinking about while you were talking about personalizing, if you're not aware, you can create a personal shortcut link to get to your 3-day website. You can do it in your participant center. It's on the same page where you customize the text. It's up at the top. It's called URL settings. But it will be something very short, like mine is the3day.org/go-to/Tesha. And that is a really short, easy URL, especially in 2019 when a lot of the stuff that we do is over text. So if you want a really quick response from somebody, make that really shortcut, and then you can just pop that right into a text and say, hey, don't know if you saw, the email, the letter, whatever that I sent, but here's this short link to be able to get to my fundraising website. I'd really appreciate a donation today. That can be a really quick way to get some donations right to you.
Thank you, Tesha.
And I've got one more thing to add. This is Coach Jen. Molly touched on it by saying that she likes a personal ask. She doesn't want to just donate to somebody's Facebook fundraiser. I'd almost take it one step further and say, some people want a personal ask in the way that they communicate. So for instance, if you're asking an older person for a donation, maybe instead of emailing them or posting it on Facebook, maybe you want to actually put a letter in the mail to them and enclose a donation form, because they just might send in a check, which I know feels kind of old-fashioned these days, but that might be the way they like to donate. So I think it's important to honor that and communicate with people the way they want to communicate with you.
And
That's a really good point. Thank you.
Sorry. This is Coach Liz, and the thing that I find over the years is I send out a follow-up about every 30 days, reminding my donors, even ones who have donated already, how much I've raised, how my training is going. And then I take something out of some of the literature that is available under the fundraising tools and tips, like how much it costs to fund a mammogram, or how much is going to provide transportation, or something new that is from the Komen in the News, to let them know what research is being funded with your fundraising dollars. And then reminding them that I'm still fundraising.
Good info. This is Coach Gayla. There are a ton of tools, like Liz just said, on our website. And once this presentation's over at the end, if y'all want to stay on, I will be happy to share my screen and walk through the steps of where to find all of these tools. But sharing those, the info sheets, people love pictures. People love graphs. They like things like that, and it makes it a little bit more visible for them to understand what's going on and what you're doing. So utilize all the tools we have. They're there for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I know that we have some participants on the line as well, and I know two in particular, Donna and Kat, have some fundraising tips that they want to share with the group as well. So, Gayla, can you make sure that they are muted and can speak?
You bet. Who was going to speak? Everyone can.
Kathy.
Go for it.
Okay. One thing I want to point out is that I have always used the ask everyone and ask big, because it's easy for somebody to hand you $5 out of their pocket at the cafeteria at lunch, but if you ask bigger, you might get bigger. I have the success story. I have a manager at work who has given every year that I've walked. I'm coming up on my 12th walk, and she started with $100. Then it became $250. A couple of years later, it was $500. Last year, I was shocked and awed when I suddenly received a $5,000 donation from that one manager.
Oh.
And even better success, make sure you check on matching funds, because I work at Intel. We had a matching funds grant, and she was able to double that. So in one person who has been a consistent donor, I've always been nervous about asking the same people over and over, but she's always come through, so I still ask. And in that 1 year last year, I got $10,000 and was able to actually do 2 events last year.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's great. Donna, did you have some fundraising tips you wanted to share as well?
Echoing a lot of what everyone said is, and I just, my number one is tell your story, tell my story. I still do snail mail. I include a donation form as well as the link. I start fundraising for next year, this year, especially after my walk and when I do my thank you notes. Why not get it in there? Time it right so you can get them at the end of the year or before tax time. Ask everyone, of course. Liz will probably laugh because I gave her the approval to say, I told you so. I'm a social media guru. I use Facebook, the tools. I do the email blast through the Komen site. I use Facebook. I hadn't used the Facebook app itself, the fundraiser. And on a training walk, Liz said, you should just sign up for it. You should use it. I'm like, all right, fine. Click, click, click. I sent her a text because I said, you're right. Go ahead. I got 2 donations instantly. So it does work. And I've done garage sales. I've done the restaurant flyers where you get a certain percentage. I wear pink everywhere I go. I tell everyone. I have gotten over the issues where I have some family, like direct family members who don't support Komen, who are the naysayers. So I actually have them off of my list. But I just hope they never need it at some point. And I don't know. I believe in it. I mean, it's my 10th year now, and who knows where I'm going to be for 11. And I am the June social star. If everybody's not playing that, they should. It doesn't cost you anything, but gives you bragging rights and a lot of 3-day swag.
And this is Kat, and I'll add one more thing on the Facebook fundraiser. I set mine up and invited a whole bunch of people on Facebook and got a couple $100 off that immediately, but I also made sure to ask people to share it. And I've had, I think only 4 have actually shared it, but one of my friends gave me his $50 donation, shared it, and I immediately had 2 more donations from people I don't know, but they were friends of his who trusted his opinion of please support this.
Okay. Very good. Was there any other advice from anybody else on the call that they wanted to share?
Yeah, we got a question. It says she's also had some naysayers regarding Komen, and it makes it difficult. At the end of the call, she wanted to know if we had any suggestions on how to address the naysayers for, to set them straight to get a possible donation from them.
Yeah, we can actually roll right into that. I know we have a few questions that we've received beforehand as well, but we can take that one right now. And I don't know if any of the other coaches have anything that they would want to say about this first. I can start, and what I would say is, Maria, I think this question came from you. I've been working on this event for a very long time, and so first and foremost, what I would say is there are some people who you are not going to be able to change their mind, and to that, I always just recommend that, if they're not willing to support Komen, that maybe they would like to make a donation directly to another breast cancer organization. But ultimately, if they're not going to do it, there's only so much you can do. There's so much information on our website about the work that Komen does, and also directing them to, to Komen's website as well, so that they can really understand what the event is all about, what the things are that we fund, and the role that Komen plays in really having some amazing advancements within the breast cancer space. And so to me, there's a really great infographic on the website that says why Komen, and it talks a lot about the work that they've done, the work that they've supported, the research that they're doing, that you can provide those kinds of resources to people. And then I think, I don't know, Liz, if you were the one who mentioned this as well, but also there's a really great infographic as well that talks about the fundraising dollars, and especially for those of you who are trying to come up with a meaningful amount to have people ask people for to support your fundraising efforts. This gives you information on how much breast health services cost and what your donation could provide. So I feel like for people who you have a hard time, they have an issue with supporting Komen, you can let them know exactly how their donation is going to help. But I think those infographics are really, really great. And in addition to that, within the website, and even if you're just on the front page of the website, a lot of this information is really easily accessible just within the front page. But if you, again, just look for those infographics, below that, there's information on the local research grants in every state where the 3-day takes place. And I find that when you provide people with the information on how the dollars that they contribute are used locally, that helps as well. And so having those kinds of tools to really be able to give them that specific information, I think is helpful. Jen, Tesha, Liz, Gayla, I don't know if you all have anything else to add to that.
Sure. This is Jen. I can hop in. So I had a participant come to me recently and say she had a donor who had some concerns about Komen's stance on embryonic stem cell therapy. So that armed me with some information. So I was able to find Komen's statement on that specific topic, share that with the participant, and she was then able to go to the person she'd asked for a donation and have an educated conversation about what Komen is doing in that particular space regarding breast cancer research. So I think the more specific we can get with people that we're asking for donations, the better. And, as Molly mentioned, the resources are endless. If you go on our website at the3day.org/Komen, you can find just about anything you want as far as what Komen is doing. The other thing I want to point out, in addition to the groundbreaking research that Komen is helping to fund, there's also the other side of it, the treatment assistance program, which we just did the fundraising challenge for. And that's a great example of Komen helping to give people access to the care that they need. So it's, the research, the big research is on one side, but they're also helping to get the underinsured and uninsured people the care that they need. So I think that's a really nice thing to mention too.
Thank you, Jen. Maria, I hope that is helpful. I think I really like what Jen said, also just really kind of finding out what specifically is the issue, because there are a lot of different resources to help address whether someone has an issue with their support of stem cell research or animal testing or Planned Parenthood. Like, all of those things are really specifically addressed on the website, and can provide you with the resources that you need. And I would also just let you know, kind of, this is like one of the tips you get for being on this call. Like, Komen has actually helped participants directly before in those situations where a donor just really, they can't get through to the donor, but someone really feels compelled to like have them speak to someone who can help understand whatever that issue is. And we've had our client contact from Komen has directly reached out to participants when they have needed some additional information that isn't available on the website. So just know that that is always kind of in your back pocket if it comes to that. So, all right. If anybody has any other questions, please feel free to use the chat function to pose those. Gayla is taking a look at that to see if any questions are coming in. But we did receive a few questions in advance of the webinar. So we're going to answer some of those. Jen, Tesha, Liz, Gayla, any one of you can kind of chime in and answer these questions. But one of the questions we got was, I have a Facebook fundraiser set up, but none of the donations are showing up in my 3-day account. Can you tell me what happened and fix it so I can get credit for those donations?
Oh, this is Coach Tasha. I get this one a lot. It really depends how the Facebook fundraiser was set up. So I would say the very first step is to contact your coach because we are able to sort of look at the fundraiser, work with you to see what the fundraiser setup is. But usually what it means is that the fundraiser was created directly on Facebook. Facebook has a thing where you can add what they call a donate button, and it raises money for Komen, but it puts it directly to Komen headquarters or sometimes a local affiliate. And so if that's the case, we will work with you to basically get that existing one shut down and get those funds redirected to your 3-day account, and also to get a new one set up from your 3-day participant center that will link automatically to your fundraising so that we don't have to transfer other donations.
Thank you, Tasha. Another question is, my family and friends don't have a lot of money to support me. I don't know how I'll be able to raise $2,300. So I think, hopefully we've covered a lot of things up until this point that helps address this. But this is where I would say, look beyond your friends and family. And there are so many ways in which people do the fundraising. I like to say that you're only limited by your imagination and by the law. Like, there are certain things that you can't do from a fundraising perspective. Every state has different things with like raffles and lotteries and stuff like that you need to pay attention to. But I mean, we have people who sit outside grocery stores, or they do bake sales at work, or they wear a t-shirt with, I think years ago I saw a t-shirt that on the front it said, "Want to touch these?" And on the back of the woman's shirt, it said, "You can't, and with your help, neither will breast cancer." And obviously it's a catchy fundraising idea and a little bold. But again, it really is just, you're limited by your own imagination. I also recommend that people just try something new. So especially if you're someone who's doing the event, if you've done it multiple times, like I've never actually done a fundraising event. Like I've never invited people over to my house to try to get them to engage with me in that way and donate in person. And so that's something that I would do to stretch myself if I needed it. We have a lot of people who engage businesses in their communities to raffle off various gift packages or prizes or baskets that they compile from stuff that they've gotten donated from their community. So those are just a few ideas off the top of my head. Does anybody else want to chime in of what you can do if you feel like you can't really rely on your friends and family?
This is Liz, and I have a friend who for many years hosted a spaghetti dinner at her house. She charged $25 for the spaghetti dinner. And again, she told her story to everybody before the beginning of dinner and talked about why this was so important to her. She had lost her mom to breast cancer, and she talked about her training and how many miles she would be walking. She did have some raffle items, and then she would raffle those off. And every year she raised $2,300 in one night. She would invite her neighbors, she'd invite people.
Wow.
Just anybody to come to this $25 spaghetti dinner. Everyone knew what it was. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, we're coming over just for dinner. I mean, they knew. But again, making it personal. She talked about why this was so personal. She had 2 young kids, and she didn't want them to be touched by breast cancer. So anything that you can do to make it personal. I also had someone that I trained with a couple of times, and I do hope you guys are out there training, but they cut a couple of poster boards and wore them, tied them with pink ribbons, and wore front and back, so when they were out doing their training walk, it said, ask me why I'm walking. And then they would talk about their story. You can print out the business cards again from the 3-day website that has your information, and you could hand it out and raise money that way as well. Just some creative different ways.
Another idea is if you're, if you're planning a yard sale, don't just sell your stuff. Ask your family and friends. Maybe they don't want to make a financial donation, but maybe they have some things collecting dust, or, maybe they would consider donating something. Maybe they'd, buy a dozen donuts so you could sell a donut for $1 in the morning at your yard sale. So, tap into those people that way, and it's not a direct donation, but it will benefit your fundraising.
This is Coach Gayla. Some things that I've heard around here is that check with the mom and pop businesses, restaurants, bars in your area. So if maybe you don't know a whole lot of people in your area, but there are businesses that will donate a percentage of proceeds from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. They don't have to come in and say they're there for the 3-day, but you can possibly put up some flyers at this place. You'll hang out. You'll have a table set up for yourself and talk about the 3-day. And at the end of the night, a portion of the proceeds that night will be given to you in a check from the business. So for those who don't necessarily know a lot of people in their community, what a great way to get out and meet people in your community, and also share what Komen does and raise money at the same time.
And this is Tasha. I'll just add one more thing. And Kat touched on it also and talked about the power of it, but the power of matching gifts. When I started walking, I didn't know anything about matching gifts. I didn't know what it was. I have been blown away by the amount of money that people have raised just by having companies match donations. If you have a friend who can only give $25, that's fine. If their company will give another 25, or if they're a 2-to-1 match, and they'll make it 50. And of course, exponentially, those numbers grow huge, as Kat's example was. But it's free money. It's on the table, and it's not necessarily companies you've never heard of. It's Home Depot and Starbucks. It's Bank of America. It's, there's just tons and tons of organizations out there. A lot of the tech companies, a lot of the banks. There's a search tool on our website where you can put in a company name, and we'll tell you whether or not they're in our matching database. If they're not in there, it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't match. It just means we don't know about them. So have all of the donors and friends ask their HR or payroll departments, hey, I'm making this charitable donation. Would the company like to match that for me? And find out what the procedures are, because I've seen people just raise thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that otherwise would have just been left on the table.
Wonderful. Thank you. Did I cut anybody off?
Yeah, this is Kat, and I've got one more to follow up on Liz's note about while you're out on training walks, which of course you are out training. Years ago, my team founder was out on a training walk, and a bunch of them decided to go out for breakfast afterwards. And somebody stopped them in the restaurant and asked what they were out there doing, because they were all out wearing pink and being flamboyant. And she was able to hand him her 3-day business card, and he said that he would give when he got back to the office Monday morning. And she dismissed it as he'll probably lose it, whatever. But at least she got the word out, and she came in on Monday. There was $1,000 donation off that. So when you are out training or just out socially, be a 3-day voice, be visible, be loud, talk about the 3-day, because you never know who you're going to meet that you don't know. When you've used up your friends and family and they've given all they can, go talk to strangers, because somebody's been touched by it and they're willing to give.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I mean, in my circle, it's impossible to find someone who hasn't been impacted by breast cancer. And walking 60 miles and the effort that all of you have to put into properly training for that is no joke. And I think it's much more preferable for people to write a check or go online and make a donation. They'd much rather do that than do the 60 miles. So
I have one more quick one to add, if you don't mind. Liz and I were in Seattle last year at the mall doing a training walk because it was raining. A lady walked up and said to our group of walkers, "What are y'all here for?" We told them about it, and she said, "I want to make a donation right now." Well, I asked one of the walkers who she was speaking with if she had her fundraising app on her phone. She didn't even have it on her phone yet. So we loaded it on her phone real quick. She was able to text her link immediately to that lady, where she was able to get the link on her phone in a text message, click it, make the donation, and it was done. She made $30 donation over 4 months, 4 $30 donations to this lady, and she never even met her before, but she had lost a friend, lost her sister to cancer, and it was just a very quick way to get the information to her. She didn't have to have a card to go home and do it. She texted it from her fundraising app. So if you haven't downloaded the fundraising app, it's very simple, it's very easy to work, and we can help you with that. Just call the coaches and we'll get you set up if you need help.
That's great. Thank you, Gayla. It's wonderful. We are going to move on to the participation options. So I will turn it over. I think, Jen, are you taking the first one here?
I am. Thanks, Molly. So there's a couple of options. If you're getting close to your event and you haven't quite met your fundraising goal, but you still know that you want to participate in all 3 days. The first one is a $2 delayed donation. Now this works differently depending on whether you're in a hotel market, Michigan, Twin Cities, Seattle, and New England, or if you're in an outdoor camp market, Seattle, Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Diego. So in our hotel markets, this is an automatic option that shows up in online check-in. Your online check-in deadline is going to be a little bit earlier based on us needing to book your hotel room. So if your online check-in deadline is coming up or has already passed, hopefully you will take advantage of this delayed self-donation option. You go in, you put in your credit card information, it will charge you $2 automatically, but essentially you're buying time because it will then give you until the Wednesday after your event to complete your fundraising. So it really gives you, in our hotel markets, it really gives you an additional month to complete your fundraising. So you'll have a chance to get those last minute checks in. You'll have a chance for all those matching gifts to post to your account. You'll have a great time on the event. And then 3 days later, we will ask you to make a self-donation for the difference between what's in your fundraising account and the $2,300 fundraising goal. Now that's for the hotel markets. In the outdoor camp markets, it works a little bit differently. It's not an automatic option for you folks. You will need to call your coach and have a kind of a one-on-one chat with your coach to just explain that you're, still working on your fundraising, you need a little bit of an extension, and then your coach can approve you for a 4-week fundraising extension. Once the coach approves you for that, it will show up in your online check-in. So you'll be able to, again, make that $2 delayed donation. And then for those of you in outdoor camp markets, you'll have until 4 weeks after your event to continue doing your fundraising. So that's kind of how the $2 delayed donation works. And I'm going to turn it over to Liz to chat about the one-on-one with the coach.
Perfect. Thank you, Jen. Yes, so if you still have questions when we're finished with the call and you need to talk with a coach about what you can do to maximize your fundraising, just give either Jen, Tesha, or myself a call. You can reach us at the 800 number or via email. It's 800-996-3329. And then Michigan is option 4, Twin Cities is option 8, New England is option 9, Seattle is 7, Philly is 5, Dallas is 3, and San Diego is option 6. And we can go over what you've done. We can talk about personalizing your page. We can take a look at your Facebook options, some things that you've done, and discuss what other options you have and how you can make this work for you. Because trust me, I know that you can do this fundraising. Tesha?
That's me. So the other option that we have is we did start a one-day program. We started it several years back. For the last few years, it has been called 20 Mile Walker. It is the option to basically join us for just one day of the 3-day event. 20 Mile Walkers come to us on Sunday morning. They walk right alongside 3-day walkers on day 3. I have people who call and say, is it a different route? Do I walk separately? Absolutely not. You're in with everybody else. You're using the same rest stops and you're getting the same cheering and all of that. But it does have a significantly less fundraising requirement in that the requirement is only $750. It is not an option to usually transfer to that really early on in your event season, but if you're getting to pretty close to your event, within a month of your event, and you're really, really struggling with the fundraiser, that could be an option for you. The biggest note that I would definitely make sure you're aware of if you're thinking about that, though, is that in the hotel markets, it does not include any hotel stay. So if you were thinking about coming on Saturday to then join on Sunday, you would need to, and you're coming from out of town, you'd need to make your own accommodations for that Saturday night, and same with Sunday night if you're staying over. So there are different sides of it, but it is absolutely an option. You can be on a team, you can be the team captain, you can, like I said, you can still participate with everybody. It's just that the fundraising minimum is only $750 instead of the $2,300. So if you're interested in that, if that's something that might apply to you, that registration is still open in all 7 cities. So if you need to transfer to that and you're within a month of your event, just contact your coach. And if you don't need to do that, but you have somebody who wants to join you for Sunday, then have them register to join you, because we are happily taking all 20 Mile Walkers in all 7 cities.
Thank you, Tasha. Yeah, I mean, and I'll reiterate, I think one of the best tools that all of our participants have is the personal coach to support you, to help you come up with a plan, to make sure that from the point you register until the point you finish the event, you are not doing this alone, and you have someone who is really invested in making sure that you show up on events having successfully trained and fundraised. So please, lean on our coaches. They're an amazing resource who can really help you make sure that you're successful with all aspects of participation, but especially the fundraising. So I think as we kind of wind down here, I want to just leave with a few reminders. One, no one is ever going to give you their last dollar. So again, don't put your own kind of thoughts and feelings into who you're going to ask. Just ask everybody and know that people will give you what they're comfortable giving. They're not going to donate more than what they can. And like I said, they're not going to give away their last dollar. And everybody is busy and has competing priorities. So the reminders are really more helpful than and will really help close the gap for you with getting you that much closer to your goal. But ultimately, just a huge thank you to all of you for your participation in the event. We're so lucky to get to do this work, but to be surrounded by so many inspiring people who do this event is such a gift for all of us. So thank you again, whether you're with us here tonight or listening to this at a later date. We're really excited to be able to play a small part in your 3-day experience this year, and look forward to seeing everybody on the route. Gayla is going to be sending an email out after this call that's going to include Coach Jen's favorite video with some fundraising advice from fellow participants as well. And if there's anything else that you need, please feel free to call the 800 number or send an email. But thank you very much for joining us tonight, for participating, for sharing some of your wisdom and advice with your fellow participants as well. And we look forward to seeing you on the 3-day later this year. Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks all. Good night.
All right.